This is Indonesian Kopiko.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cannot drink coffee with eggs.
Everybody else wants to?
You still can wait every time.
Very good.
Very good.
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patrons, Rob S. and Big Dan SRQ. Thank you guys for choosing to support the channel. First up today, just so you guys know, over the next few weeks or months, until we know for sure how Elon's funding will actually be secured to buy Twitter, there's going to be this overhang on Tesla stock, even if he doesn't have to actually sell any of his Tesla shares. We know that analysts on Wall Street simply don't like all of the noise and the drama that these events bring to Tesla stock, so many of them will just check out until the dust has settled. As I've said before, there's just so much noise around this Twitter situation that I really have basically zero interest in. However, I am interested in things like this. After Tesla's incredible earnings, the stock is off roughly 21%, so I will gladly take advantage of opportunities like this when we're below the 200-day. This morning, I bought a little bit at 834, so I'm happy with everything that's going on. And guys, look, if you just zoom out a few months into the future, all of this dust will have settled and we can finally move on. But like I always say, you have to be patient. Here we have a judge finally ruling in favor of Elon over this SolarCity deal. If you remember, this was a $2.6 billion deal 6 years ago back in 2016. Tesla shareholders were looking for $13 billion in damages, saying that Elon was basically serving himself as he tried to push the board to push this deal through. The judge said, the preponderance of the evidence reveals that Tesla paid a fair price. SolarCity was, at a minimum, worth what Tesla paid for it, and the acquisition otherwise was highly beneficial to Tesla. The judge said Elon was more involved than he should have been, but a fair price for SolarCity outweighed claims the deal unjustly enriched Musk. Now, this decision can be appealed, so we'll wait and see what happens there. However, I'm personally glad Elon took this to court to fight it, because had he opted to settle, then I think that would open the door for more things to happen like this in the future. So hopefully the book stays closed on this one, because as Elon said in a recent interview, it's things like this that do indeed take away from his time and emotional energy. It looks like the full Tesla vehicle lineup will be available for rent at the Resorts World in Las Vegas. This situation is a bit different though, because this EV rental company is going to be renting the upgrades like full self-driving, performance, and even the Plaid variants. Now, I would push back on the full self-driving bit, as I'm not sure that Tesla would want to allow full self-driving for rental vehicles, especially in Vegas, but that's just what's being reported. That said, the company is Evolve Rentals and prices range from $199 to $349 per day. And a nice ancillary benefit: for every car rented, they will plant one tree. Here we get some pretty interesting data from a company called iSeeCars.com. Essentially, it aggregates new and used car data, and in the month of March, they analyzed over 150,000 listings, both new and used, and they came to the conclusion that on average, a used car, it takes about 53 days to sell. However, as you may have guessed, that is not the case for Tesla, as the Model X in March on average took just 28 days, the fastest among all listings researched. And while this figure is the average list price, not the average sale price, it's still a very impressive figure. So here's the list of the top 10. I've highlighted Tesla's average list price here, and as you can see, Tesla makes up 4 of the top 10. Most of the other vehicles are also about half the price of a Tesla, coming in between $20,000 and $30,000, all but the Mustang Mach-E in 10th with an average list price of $58,000. So of course, no surprises here, but I thought it was cool to see the data reported like this. Kyle from Out of Spec was talking about Tesla doing more customer education on Twitter, and it's little things like this that will go such a long way as Tesla starts breaking into the mainstream, into that segment of people who might think that Teslas use gas or have all of those preconceived misconceptions about Tesla. So I love to see Tesla taking these little steps. So if you're anything like me, there have been numerous times you wish you would have bought more Tesla stock each time it had a significant dip. Well, luckily there is a new solution to this problem thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Composer. Composer is an incredible tool that allows us to automate our investing based on if-then rules to remove all emotion and subjectivity. And check this out, my custom Buy the Tesla Dip Symphony was trending for a bit last week in the Wall Street Bets subreddit. And while past performance doesn't guarantee anything, I do really like these numbers a lot. With my custom Symphony, you can automatically buy Tesla stock each time it falls below its 200-day moving average. So if you're on the golf course, sleeping, or at work, you'll never miss the dips again. You can also choose from many pre-built options from Composer like the Buffett, which provides a nice 90-10 strategy, and the Dalio, modeled after, yes, the legendary Ray Dalio. Composer is a really cool company, and if you have any questions, their support staff is excellent and will help you get started. So check out my links in the description below to check out Composer and my custom Tesla by the Dip Symphony. Automate investing, remove the emotion, and free up more of your valuable time. One thing that you can't really debate is that Elon buying Twitter is going to cause some major waves. Listen to this. The FCC, FTC, and DOJ were asked to block Elon's deal to buy Twitter because the transaction posed a direct threat to American democracy and free speech. Super ironic because the main reason Elon's doing this is to protect free speech. The best part of this whole thing though, and why I'm sharing it, is the FCC's response. The FCC has no authority to block Elon's purchase of Twitter, and to suggest otherwise is absurd. I would welcome the full FCC making it clear that we will not entertain these types of frivolous arguments. Of course, Elon was loving that, saying FCC for the win. Along similar lines, I think the timing of this from the White House is very interesting. Basically looking to launch the Declaration for the Future of the Internet. The US has linked up with 60 partners around the globe to launch this new initiative. Well, what are they trying to get at here? The principles include protect human rights and fundamental freedoms of all people, promote a global internet that advances the free flow of information, advance inclusive and affordable connectivity so that all people can benefit from the digital economy, promote trust in the global digital ecosystem, including through protection of privacy, and protect and strengthen the multi-stakeholder approach to governance that keeps the internet running for the benefit of all. From a quick briefing that I watched, this is not going to cover the scope of digital currencies. So, alright, great in theory. I personally love the idea of trying to open up internet access to more of the world. I think that's crucial and something I am all about. However, actually implementing and enforcing any policies, regulations, or anything to protect human rights is way more difficult in practice than just in theory. So, color me skeptical of any tangible outcomes coming from this initiative. And Elon chimed in twice about this. Steven Crowder said the government is creating a misinformation governance board. Who else did something like that? Oh, the Nazis. And there's some data showing some interesting things going on post Elon's Twitter takeover. Elon replied, discomforting. In addition, replying to Andreessen, Elon said, sounds like satire. And Ford reported its Q1 earnings, so I added that data to the chart with some new topics. As you can see, Ford revenue $34.5 billion, net income was $2.3 billion, adjusting for the Rivian loss, that was $5.4 billion. So Ford actually lost money from the net income line, around $3 billion, but adjusting for that Rivian loss, $2.3 billion positive. And then I added the deliveries for the quarter, but this is the metric to focus on. So effectively, Tesla is 4 times more profitable per vehicle sold than Ford and GM. Good news here, as Starlink has received a license to provide service in Bahrain. This is important because this is the first time Starlink has gotten approval in the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is basically Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and then a few others. So far, no information given in terms of pricing. As a way to affirm its commitment to EVs, GM will now be tying executive compensation to certain EV performance metrics. We're talking delivery figures in North America. They also talked about quality and launch timing of certain vehicles. Not sure how they'll do it with quality, but GM is supposed to release a proxy statement this Friday giving more detail on how they're going to do this. Here we have some of the unfortunate beginnings of what this EV revolution is going to mean to many hundreds, thousands, and ultimately millions of people. Ford cutting 580 jobs, around 350 of which are salaried employees. Ford said all of the jobs will come from the engineering function, and in addition to the salaried employees, there will be another 230 agency positions cut. Ford has been talking about that talent gap that it has and how it essentially has to overhaul its workforce to compete in the EV market, and Ford is looking to hire many people from the tech space. And looking at these figures, Ford employed around 87,000 people in the US, around 31,000 of which were salaried. So based on these salaried cuts, that's around 1% of Ford's salaried workforce. Some people on Twitter today were making a bigger deal of this than I think it really is, talking about GM has spent a record amount on lobbying in Q1, shelling out $4.66 million in the quarter. So in the grand scheme of things, not at all a huge amount. Last time Ford was around this, I believe in 2008, they paid around $4 million for lobbying, so this is a new watermark high. GM said it was situational due to COVID, as they just happened to have people in Washington, so they figured might as well have them meet with policymakers. And for some context, most of the other automakers like Ford and others spent around $1 million on lobbying in the quarter. Just a quick note on McLaren, yes, they have a new CEO, but I'm sharing this because as part of the shakeup, they are now reportedly open to partnering with other companies, whether automakers or tech companies, as part of its electrification strategy. Great news for those in Europe, as Volkswagen has partnered with BP to roll out a new fast charging network. These will be up to 150 kilowatts and will have those embedded battery systems, which will make for an easier install. And reportedly over the next 2 years, they're looking to have 4,000 charge points installed. The first charger is live in Dusseldorf, Germany, and perhaps more importantly, Volkswagen is looking to integrate these charging points into the software system of Volkswagen vehicles. I wanted to ask you guys about this one. So GM reportedly has over 140,000 reservations for the Chevy Silverado coming next year, but they say this: the Silverado EV will have at least 400 miles of range. I would be shocked and very impressed if this big Chevy Silverado truck has anywhere near 400 miles of range. I definitely hope I am wrong. Don't forget to check out Composer linked below and my custom Tesla by the Dip Symphony. Please like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.